Welcome to GlowNatural, the podcast about living naturally, experiencing fully, and radiating your brilliance. I'm your host, Lisa Jendza, and I love sharing with you deep and meaningful conversations with all of my guests. Today, I have with me transformational leadership coach, Regina Huber, with extensive corporate background in 6 countries. Regina is a co-creation advocate, a certified leadership ambassador for Take the Lead Women, a CIQ Enhanced Skills Coach, and the author of Speak Up, Stand Out, and Shine. So the question today is, are you connected to your power? At least that's the question that Regina has for all of us. Regina, I'm so thrilled to have you with me today.
I am thrilled, Lisa. It's wonderful hearing your voice.
So you're in South Africa right now.
I am in South Africa. I'm in Johannesburg, where I'm spending a few weeks, and I'm also planning to travel to Cape Town for a few days and explore a little bit more about this beautiful country. Yes.
So I've always been impressed in all the years that I've known you, how globally focused you are, how in tune you are with women in other countries, and the fact that you want to be actively involved in empowerment initiatives around the world, not just here in the States.
Yes, I think it's a topic that is relevant anywhere in the world. We need to come together and really come together in this thinking and in this inner empowerment. I call it also self-empowerment. I personally actually like to say I cannot empower anybody else but me, but I can help others empower themselves. I can facilitate, I can guide others to find that inner power that we all have inside of us. It's really innate, and we often feel disconnected from it, and that's when we feel powerless or not powerful enough to start a certain initiative, to do what we want to do in life, to stand up for ourselves and to speak up for ourselves. And that's relevant anywhere.
I love that, because I think that we're at a time when women want to come into their power and may be hesitating leaving a corporate job or starting a business or putting themselves out there, putting themselves on a stage, speaking, their voice, their purpose. And this is what you help teach women to do.
Yes, and it hasn't always been easy for me, I have to say. You know a bit of my story, Lisa, and I had a very discouraging and painful experience just about 7 years ago when I lost a lot of money, when I went through an experience with a business partner that cost me my confidence, my self-esteem, and I had to rebuild it up, but it was also my biggest lesson in terms of awareness. So I really got in touch with my inner power after this experience. I think I always grabbed all my opportunities previously, and it seemed as if I was, moving to different countries, starting again everywhere. So it all seemed really powerful, but deep down, it wasn't as powerful as I'm now because I wasn't doing it as consciously. So now I consider myself a conscious creator of my life, which previously I wasn't. And at the time, I had to regain that self-esteem, that confidence. And while I wasn't there yet, I had to come up with some tools that helped me basically trick myself into more confidence in networking situations, in speaking situations, when I wasn't even sure what my business was going to be yet, because I was creating a new business in a different country, in a different city where I didn't know anybody. So I created these tools, and I adapted other people's tools as well that I then put into my book, Speak Up, Stand Out, and Shine, because they helped me get in front of people, get to speak with people that I'd never talked to before, meet them and reach out to people, and even be able to talk about my business, right? And that's what I put together in my book last year, because I thought it might serve other women and other people in general as well, who might be in challenging situations as well.
Which we know is common, right? So,
yeah.
We all have our challenging situations. I, too, walked away from a very lucrative corporate career to go into business for myself, not knowing how to be a business owner, knowing that I had entrepreneurial traits, but not necessarily knowing the business I was getting into. So I've definitely had my lessons in losing money, spending too much on some things, not enough on other things, and then having a couple bad partnerships that also took a toll on me. So I think your book speaks to so many women, and your message speaks to so many women, that we're resilient, and that when we stop and look inside, we have what we need innately. But the tools that you have and the coaching that you do helps people to see that, to help reconnect to themselves, to their authenticity.
Yes, absolutely. So it's not about emulating other people's behavior, emulating other people's branding, whatever it is. We really need to find that authentic brilliance in ourselves, acknowledge it, and bring it to the surface, and also have the courage to show it, because oftentimes we may go deep with it, but then how do we bring it out, and how do we find that courage to be what I call uniquely, what I call distinctively unique. So I call this part of my work distinctive uniqueness, and that's where we find all those very specific talents, that very unique greatness that we all have, and we show it to the world so we can make a bigger impact. So it's part of my work. And as you said before, of course, also it's about mindset. It's about finding that inner power. It's about our energy. It's about our presence. This is what I call body conscious presence in my work. And I pulled all of this together in what I call the powerful leadership transformation. And there's more on my website, of course, transformyourperformance.com. What I really think is we need to figure out is, how can we be fully present? How can we be fully present with that authentic brilliance inside of us, and find that courage and put ourselves out there, as you said.
So when you talk about being fully present, I remember being the working mom, working crazy long hours, and I really didn't know what it meant to be present. Mm-hmm. So when you say be fully present, do you have a recommendation for our listeners on how they can get present in the present moment?
Absolutely. This is an exercise that I use every single time I go in front of an audience or into a challenging meeting or what I think might be challenging. It's actually a way of also connecting better with your meeting partners, with your audience, engaging them more, and that also leads to greater trust, because when we are fully present in our body and in our energy, we come across as more authentic. We are more in a listening mode. We are active listeners rather than passive listeners. We are now able to engage our partners, our meeting partners, our negotiation partners on a different level. And that automatically creates more trust, because, of course, when we are more authentic, people trust us more. So it's really interesting, because it takes our brain only 0.07 seconds to figure out whether it's safe to trust somebody. It's really important to prepare for those situations. Yes, isn't this amazing? Uh-huh. It's automatic. It does it automatic. It's our survival mechanism, basically. So what's important is, before we go into a meeting, whether it's a phone call, whether it's an in-person meeting, doesn't really matter. Really center in your body. Take a couple of, or 10, even better, deep breaths. Focus on your breathing. As you well know, Lisa, breathing, also deep breathing, oxygenates our brain. It helps mental focus, and it helps us diminish our anxiety. So while you're doing that, place a hand on your solar plexus area, that's your stomach area, and really focus into that area. This is where our personal power sits and where we can access our confidence more easily. And as you're breathing into this area, you're focusing on this area, and what that does is it allows you to expand that inner power energy that we all have, by the way. As we said before, we just really oftentimes don't activate it. We forget to connect with it. And then feel like this energy is expanding beyond your body, beyond your physical body and into your aura. I find this very simple exercise to be so powerful that I have used it over and over again. There are many, many other ways, of course, and I share a lot of them in my book. There are more, some people are very visual. They want to do visualization exercises. Some people are very body-oriented. Another very easy way to get into your body is just to contract and relax specific muscle groups. Make a fist. Relax your fist. Do this with other muscle groups in your body, and automatically you're focusing on this and you're becoming present.
I know that you're also an advocate of dance, and so I couldn't help but think how that also relates. I coached with a coach who does NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, but what he really specializes in is masculine and feminine energy. And those of us who spent many, many years in corporate America, especially in management or leadership roles, could have become very masculine. At least that was the case for me. And I think trying to get back in touch with my feminine side, one of the things he recommended is that I dance. He said dance every morning, which made me think of you. So I do dance every morning for at least 10 to 15 minutes. And I have to believe that ties in with what you teach about body presence and being in your body.
Absolutely, absolutely. So my huge passion for dance does flow into my work. It flows into that body consciousness. It flows into the energy we bring to the table when we interact with people. Dance has changed my posture. It's changed my way of interacting because it's so related to our energy. Now, it also helps me get into my power. I was just recently featured on Forbes with an interview that was about power dancing. Many people have probably heard about power posing, the concept that Amy Cuddy, the associate Harvard professor, came up with. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I adapted that for myself because for me, I'm a movement person. It's a little bit challenging for me to hold a power pose for 2 minutes. So what I came up with is power dancing. I put on a power song, a song that has either powerful lyrics or powerful music or both, ideally, and that makes me feel powerful and I move to it in big, expansive movements. So that's very, very effective too. And nowadays we can even do the power posing in a bathroom stall, right? Because we have headsets.
Right.
So we can do anything in a small private place. And
well, you can't do power posing in a corporate office anymore. Most of them are getting rid of cube walls, and so it's big, long, open. It's big, long tables or open spaces. At least here, I live in the automotive part of the world. So I can tell you all of my friends that are still in the automotive world, they're getting rid of cube walls. So how do you power pose when your boss is sitting at the table, like right next to you?
Oh, no, I do that before I even go into a challenging situation. So when I'm preparing for a meeting, all bathrooms are still private, I hope, right? so that's a really good place to go. And the exercise I shared with you earlier, that inner power exercise, you can even do that when you're sitting in front of somebody, because the more often you do it and practice it, the faster it gets. I can do this within a few seconds.
Yeah.
The other thing is, in my book, I also share if you've studied NLP, you also know about this probably, anchoring a certain feeling. So I talk about it in my book. I give the example of anchoring and triggering a feeling of confidence, which you can do once you've done it a couple of times and anchored this feeling. You can do it within the matter of just the 2 seconds, just with a hand gesture.
Yeah, these just take practice. They are very simple and powerful techniques. They just do require some practice. I think many of us have habits right? So
Yeah.
habitually we respond to situations and circumstances in the way that we always have. So this just requires practice, hence the reason we have a wonderful coach such as yourself that would help someone practice these so that they can get good at this and do this sitting in front of a meeting room or a boardroom or in front of an audience.
Absolutely. But there is a level, Lisa, when it's not about the tool so much anymore. Because when we really go deep in the coaching, we actually move to a different level. That's also part of the process. Of course, I still use my tools. I don't use all of them anymore, but I use my preferred tools. And that's also what I suggest, that don't, move through the tools, see what works best for you, and then use the 2 or 3 that are your favorite. That's how I do it. And then when you go to a different level, you don't actually need as many tools anymore because you're already at that different level and feeling better in general, right?
Yeah, that makes sense. So I know that you have a bigger vision for women in the world, as I do, that women are coming into our power. I think that things have shifted, or what hasn't shifted needs to shift on our planet.
Absolutely.
What is your vision for women stepping into their power and finding their voice?
Well, I think personally that world peace will depend on whether women step up and take their fair share of leadership. So it's really also about us and having that courage and stepping up. We have the potential. There is a lot of oppression still going on in many parts of the world, even in the U.S. and gender pay gap and whatnot. But it also really does depend on us whether we step up or not. So finding this inner power, finding this courage, coming together with other women, talking to men, finding the advocates in our male contemporaries. There are quite a few of them. Men tell me oftentimes, I want to help in this movement, but I don't know how. So how can we bring them into that conversation and come together? We do so much siloing, and especially in corporate where they have all these different interest groups and whatnot. So there's a women's group, there's a this group, there's a that group, all the different diversity initiatives. And it all has its value, but I think we have come to a moment where we all have to also come together again and create something. And that's why I'm a big co-creation advocate, because to create a better future together. And not everybody will be on board right away, so finding our advocates is a big part of it.
I love that. You said that world peace really depends on women stepping up.
Absolutely.
Women were intended to be nurturers. And I think, in all of our women's lib movement and wanting to be equal to men, we became a little masculine. We lost that femininity and that ability to nurture, the time to nurture. I'm not sure if it's a little of both maybe. We also became very competitive with one another. But when women come together, we can heal communities. We raise the children. We raise the next generation when we come together, and it takes a community to do that. And I think that we're both sensing that. You more on a much more global scale, which I've always admired you for because, I have not ventured outside of the U.S., but you're right. It's women all around the world that need to come together.
Yes, it is. And nowadays it's easier also because we have the opportunity to come together online like we are doing right now, right? I'm sitting here in South Africa and the summer heat, and you're sitting in
a foot of snow.
Yeah, exactly. So it's in that sense it's becoming easier. I'm also part of an international small women's group, which hopefully will grow in the future, and some other initiatives. And yes, we need to start somewhere, though. It's not important that everybody does the same. It's important that you do your part where you are, other people do their part, and we come together. And be less competitive and more co-creative. When we find our distinctive uniqueness and we are aware of it, there's no need to compete because we really can bring our unique brilliance to the table. And we see how we're all different for a reason, right? We're all diverse for a reason. It's no accident. we have been given different talents, different appearances. There is no accident in that. So we have to come together, find our complementary greatness, and bring it together, and then create change together.
Yes, I love that. I think if I were to ask our listeners to do one thing, it would be today start dancing. Dance,
Yeah.
find your beat, your rhythm. What is it that you wish to share with the world? And, for women, I think we need to get back into our bodies, out of our heads and into our bodies. And dance is one of the quickest ways to do that. And then reach out to another woman and see how you can collaborate.
Yes, and to what you said earlier, I think we still are nurturing. I don't think actually, I personally don't think we have lost that. I do believe that we still have this. Now, how can we bring this to the next level, right? How can we actually use it in order to bring people together rather than separating people so much? Because that's one of the important feminine aspects. Also, in terms of the dancing, yes, dancing might not be everybody's thing, but if it's not yours, what is your way of getting into your body? What is your way of being present in your body? There are other ways as well, right? I just personally love dancing, and there's so many ways. As you said, if you really want to go back to the feminine aspect in terms of dancing, belly dancing, and all these beautiful dances that you can do by yourself. You don't need a partner necessarily. So you can just start, just feeling good.
Yeah, well, I had to do that, after walking away from corporate America, and I took some time to be a wife and a mom and raise my children, and I started cooking more, and I got back in touch with what that is to be a wife and a mom, and not just an employee or an entrepreneur or a business owner, and not to be overly scheduled. I had to get into a place where I knew that if I was taken care of, then I could help more people. And I encourage a lot of my clients, at my spa, I always said, you need to take the time for you. You can't be of service to anyone else when you're not nourished and taken care of. So the whole family is happy when mom's happy. So us women need to start taking care of ourselves.
Yes, I agree. And the other part of it is also we might actually find that things start flowing more when we do that, right? So oftentimes we work, we work really hard, but nothing is moving. And we're trying too hard. We are really, it's all about work and hard work. So let's move away from that and really, yes, analyze experiment, analyze our different approaches and do all that. Yes, it is necessary, but then also give ourselves a few minutes in the morning to take good care of ourselves, to center, to be ready for the day, take a break during the day, go to whatever it is we want to do, whether it's a spa treatment, whether it's a massage, whether it's a meditation or a yoga class, right? So I think it's very individual, but we just need to find that one thing.
I would agree. So it's 10 o'clock in the morning here in the Midwest, but I know it's 5 p.m. where you're at in South Africa, and I know you have another call. So I think this has been a very powerful 22 minutes for our listeners. What would you like to end with today, Regina, so we can let you get on to your next call?
Well, I would really love to share one message that was received on a very deep level during a conference here in South Africa in the summer, or in the winter, in August, I should say, when I was speaking at a women's conference. A woman came afterwards to me and said this made the biggest difference and shifted her entire perspective and her life, and that's why I'm sharing this right now. And it might sound basic, but it's really what she said to me. So she said to me, when you said to me that I have this inner power and the power is not outside of me, but it's inside of me, that shifted everything for me. So it's, again, very basic. We've talked about it before, but it's the central idea of women's self-empowerment, I believe.
I would agree with you. The power is inside, And now at this time with Star Wars, right, we know the Force is with us, but we didn't really know what that meant.
Yeah.
The power is inside. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Well, I am so blessed to call you a friend. You are in the next issue of the GlowNatural magazine, so all of the listeners can look for the GlowNatural e-zine online and read more about Regina. Please feel free to connect with Regina or myself. This is Lisa, signing off for today. Everyone have a blessed day.
Thank you so much, Lisa. It's been such a pleasure.